my nurse, she let me down. This is what a mother told me when she contacted me regarding her baby's HIE injury. Her baby had suffered a traumatic brain injury at birth, and we were going through everything. And she told me, she was like, you know, my nurse, she let me down. And I could tell by talking with her that this really hurt this mother, because according to her and in her belief, she thought that she kind of had a connection with this nurse. She kind of felt comfortable. She felt pretty much safe there with that nurse. And when everything was going on during her labor and delivery, she just looked back on everything and she thought that the nurse could have done more for her. And so I want to talk with you today as a birth injury lawyer, helping families understand what may have caused their baby's traumatic brain injury at birth, and if it was medical negligence or medical malpractice, suing those who are responsible for causing this injury. I want to talk about two main areas or two issues that we see with nurses. The first being is a misreading generally of the electronic fetal heart monitor, generally not reading the strips the right way and not taking appropriate action based on what is going on with the strips. And this is not just a misread here and there. We're talking about critical and crucial issues when it comes to misreading these strips and not taking appropriate action based on that. The second thing is going to be, and what I want to get in depth with today, is not using the chain of command, not following protocol, not activating that chain of command, especially when there's patient safety and things like that, which are at play. So a lot of times people will think that, okay, well, for nurses, if the doctor is there, then of course the nurse, there's not much that the nurse can do. The nurse can just only sit there and pretty much just rely on what's going on with the doctors. And it does not work that way. Nurses have their own independent duty. They have their own training and skill set that comes into play when we're talking about labor and delivery. And when we're talking about medicine in general. Nurses have specific training when it comes to these things. So it's not enough for a nurse to pretty much sit back and see their patient being harmed and not doing anything and just thinking that, well, you know what, I'm just gonna rely on what the doctor is saying. It does not work that way. Nurses have their own training, they have their own skill set, they have their own expertise when it comes to these issues. And if there is going to be things that come up, and especially if it's dealing with patient safety, especially if it's dealing with a patient being harmed, and in the context of this labor and delivery, this is going to be mom or baby, nurses have to act. They cannot just sit back and let the doctors do everything. They have to be willing to activate that chain of command, and they have to be willing to advocate for their patients. Because like I said, it's not enough just to say, well, the doctor is in here and I'm just going to fall back on what the doctor is saying. If you have more questions, maybe you're watching this video today because your baby has suffered an HIE injury at birth and you have questions as to what may have caused this. Was it medical malpractice that did this? There's a phone number down below. What I invite you to do, get your cell and give me a call. I answer questions like yours all the time about these types of issues, traumatic brain injuries for babies. This is what we do. Remember that it costs you absolutely nothing. It doesn't cost you anything to initially talk with us about your baby's story and journey, okay? When you contact my office, just make sure that you pick a good date and a time to get on our calendar so we can know when to call you back with everything. In addition to that, you want to make sure that you leave my office a good email address, an email address that you check frequently, because sometimes we have to correspond with you through email. We want to make sure that we're sending you something to an email address that you actually check. And finally, I practice law here in the state of Maryland, and I know sometimes we'll have individuals who will contact my office. They are in the United States, but they're not in Maryland. If that is you, just understand that we have to use what we call co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state. And that's something that we can look to help you with. But I just want to make sure that you understand that co-counsel or local counsel aspect of things if you are not here in the state of Maryland. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. Talk with you next time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.